Hello, I'm Peter Whittle. Amidst the coverage of the Lie Fest, which was Keir Starmer's recent speech on immigration, a far more important and alarming report was published, which went largely under the radar. I'm sure many of you are unaware of it. It shows how, in the aftermath of the Southport killings last year, when there was widespread civil disorder, the Prime Minister misled this country in the most egregious of ways. Not only did this lay the ground for multiple miscarriages of justice, but also one man's death, a 61-year-old grandfather, Peter Lynch. This was a man with no criminal record, sentenced to almost 3 years in prison for protesting and shouting at police. He was found hanged in his cell in October. In his now notorious press conference on August the 4th, Starmer was unequivocal about who had been to blame for the rioting.
I won't shy away from calling it what it is: far-right thuggery.
He said this before any charges had been brought or any court proceedings started. He therefore put in place a narrative which has remained in place and which was used to justify the draconian treatment of the protesters.
Vehicles were set alight and projectiles thrown at riot police by people believed to be supporters of the English Defence League.
So-called far-right agitators had come in from outside and orchestrated the disorder. But this new report by His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and commissioned by the Home Office found that this was a complete fabrication. It states, and I quote, "During our inspection, we found no conclusive or compelling evidence that the 2024 disorder was deliberately premeditated and coordinated by any specific group or network. Most people who took part in the disorder lived locally," unquote. So Starmer blamed the so-called far-right without a shred of evidence. It paved the way for the outrageously harsh sentencing of protesters which came after, and indeed for the continued and increasingly tyrannical monitoring by the police of speech and comments on social media. There was never any attempt by government, or indeed the mainstream media, to try to understand the reasons for the outpouring of pent-up anger and frustration which we saw across this country. There was instead straightforward demonization and punishment of the harshest kind. And this was led by Starmer himself. If you're anything like me, you will feel that rather than an elected government, what we have in Britain now is more akin to an occupying force. We are ruled by people who clearly hate us, our culture and our history, and who on every occasion prioritise the needs and interests of foreigners over the indigenous people of this country. None of our concerns are to be addressed or even entertained. We are instead to be managed, to be cracked down upon. This will only increase as their fear of the ordinary people of this country intensifies. Just as with the Pakistani rape gangs, this Prime Minister's duplicity undermines the very foundations of this country and indeed the legitimacy of the state. It is that serious. Our justice system was weaponized by Keir Starmer, and a man is now dead. Many prime ministers have resigned for less. The public must demand that Starmer is held to account. Thank you.